Kia ora te whānau, my name is Sam Angaka here. Welcome to Story to Canvas. Have you ever wanted to know more about the meanings and stories behind cultural Polynesian design? In this series, you will see how I transform someone's story into cultural design, live on my iPad during the interview. After the artwork is done, it will then be applied onto a canvas, whether that be on an ukulele, guitar, Tesla, or even an airplane, using a variety of methods like carving, drawing, painting, etching, you name it. You gotta wait till the end to see the final result. Let's go. Kia ora and aloha, nau mai hara mai, and welcome to our first ever session of Story to Canvas. I'm super honored here today to be with the amazing Paula Fuga. Thank you so much for being with us. Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Sam. I'm so glad to finally be able to sit with you and talk story.
So a lot of my artwork happens behind closed doors or on Zoom. And so I felt impressed to record this and kind of talk story and see how that story translates to art, specifically cultural art. I prepared a few questions. I'd love to just jump straight into it.
Yeah, totally. Let's do it.
What are you most grateful for right now?
My gift.
Okay.
You know, my gift of music. I just feel so grateful because it's opened so many doors for me, and it's really the thing that inspired me to keep believing in a better life, you know, and like the positive things coming, because I had like kind of like a rough childhood, and I was really lucky to discover my gift at such a young age and kind of have a clarity about my purpose in life and what I would do eventually.
When you think about your gift, is there someone or people who help bring that gift out in you, and who have they been and how have they influenced you?
Yeah, my grandparents, they loved music and they would play music all the time. My grandmother would dance with me in the living room to her, we call it kachi kachi music or borinqui music, like Puerto Rican, you know, like my grandma would call it, whenever she would listen to this type of music, she'd dance, she'd call it, she said she had pata caliente, which is like hot feet.
Pata caliente?
Caliente, yeah.
Caliente.
And that she had to get up and dance, and she would dance with me when I was a little baby. So I know that I got that love of music from them. Also, my mom, when she was on her way to the hospital to give birth to me, she heard a song on the radio called Hey Hey Paula. And so she named me after that song. Wow. I'm named after a love song, and I end up becoming a singer of love songs, a singer and writer, a composer of love songs.
Wow. With your grandparents, what was their background in music?
You know, I never asked how she knew how to play ukulele, but my grandmother could play. She could play ukulele, so could my grandfather.
Wow.
He played slacky. I remember sitting on the floor of his bedroom while he was on his bed at night, you know, just he was playing slacky guitar, and I just sit and listen. It was like the most beautiful thing. But he had a lot of different instruments. He had a big electric organ in the living room. While he was listening to, you know, himself play, I'd be underneath it, like playing these bass notes for the organ and see if he
like,
noticed.
Hit that one.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. I'd just be doing it.
Playing it. So it seems like your grandparents in the home was something that you felt love and safe with them.
I did, yes.
Would you mind sharing their name?
My grandpa's name is Ashford Kaipo Spencer. And Ashford means forged from the ash tree. So something that's made from the ash tree. And then his middle name was Kaipo, the lover, the sweetheart. And last name Spencer. It's actually French in origin, and it means dispensier, And in English, the translation is shipman. But Spencer, for short, from dispensier, and it's an English name,
Wow.
an English family that originated in Manchester, and eventually they dispensed people to Australia and settled in Tasmania
Australia. Oh.
before they arrived here.
As I'm designing this, I write notes on the side so you can see it. Kind of
Cool,
like
I like that.
this. And so after a while, when I get enough notes, I start kind of creating this pattern that can highlight and symbolize different parts of your story. When I think about my genealogy too, I'm like, who in my line have I really connected to, and how have I continued to push that forward, their legacy? So maybe the next question I want to ask is, what sort of legacy do you want to leave?
The legacy that I'm building is one of love. I know what my purpose on earth is, and it's to teach people how to open their hearts and how to love. And it's through music and storytelling.
What does storytelling mean to you?
Well, you can tell stories through your songs. My songwriting, I tell a lot of different stories. But I think my biggest contribution to society will be in the form of filmmaking.
Wow.
So telling stories with video and film in mind. I think that music was the vehicle to, and the key to unlocking everything, all the opportunities in my life to be able to take me somewhere. The thing that helped people get to know who I am, so that one day when I come to them and I say, hey, I have a really important story to tell. Can you help me?
Yeah,
They'll say yeah, because they know me through my music.
Is there something this year that you're moving towards, movie-wise?
Well, this year we will be able to premiere my short film that has been in my heart for over 25 years. I'm just grateful to be able to have a dream and make it come true. It's one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, I totally relate with having a dream and seeing that unfold with your creative juices, and how putting together something that means a lot and then seeing people receive it and then be inspired by it. I mean, there's nothing greater for me personally.
I love that.
With this design, what helps me create something that helps tell your stories by also asking this question. What is your cultural background, and how has that influenced you?
Well, I say that I'm Hawaiian first,
Right.
because I'm raised in Hawaii on my Hawaiian side. Then second, I'm Filipino, because my grandma that raised me is Filipino, and that was my second biggest influence in my life culturally. And then third, I say I'm Samoan, because I am, but I never grew up knowing, getting to know that part of my culture or my background.
Right. Is there something in the culture that you wish you, or something that intrigues you that you want to learn more about?
Yeah, I want to learn the songs and the stories.
Yeah.
I wish I grew up knowing all the stories of that culture, that side of my culture.
Right.
It was kind of a sad thing. I got married and my dad came for my wedding, and then I sat with him after maybe a week later. He was on his way back to Samoa from Kauai. Oh, wow. And he had a few hours to just chill on Oahu. So I went and I picked him up. We got some lunch and went to a beach near the airport, just kind of cruise. Yeah. I picked him up from the airport, and then he had to go back to the airport, 3 hours later. So it was then that I got to ask him so many questions about the culture. Number one, my name, my Samoan name is Saumolia.
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 Oh, Saumolia.
Yeah. And That's his mother's name. I'm actually named after both grandmothers.
Oh,
My
wow.
mother's mother, Hiltrudis, and my grandmother on my father's side, her name is Salmulia. My dad said that my grandmother was born on the luckiest day of the year. And he said that her father would wake up early in the morning and they would go down to, someplace near the ocean, maybe somebody's fale that is nearby. Because in Samoa, they have all these fale that are built in the villages that people can go and like cruise at. And he said that there's this one day that is known as the luckiest day of the year, and that day is when all the fish just jump into your boat and you don't need to go out and catch it.
Hey.
He said that the name of that day is Salmulia.
Oh,
That's
right.
what he told me. And so that's why she was named after that day.
Your grandmother, Salmoli, is named after that day, and
The
that's
luckiest day of the year.
the luckiest day.
And that's one of my names.
Wow.
He said the other translation of it, what the name translates to is the one who comes from afar with a message.
Ooh.
And so when he told me that, I like broke down and I cried because like I was living
Wow.
my name. I was fulfilling the prophecy of my own name without ever having known it. And it was just like this huge thing. Like
Wow.
I had no choice but to be proud of it, because I kind of grew up in like my family on my mom's side, they're Hawaiian, but they're also like a lot of haole. Like my cousins are like pretty much all like fair skin, And some of my cousins would tease me because I was brown,
Yeah.
like that I was Samoan. So like I kind of like I never really had anything to be proud of because I never knew anything about my culture. So, my whole life I kind of was not proud of my name. I was ashamed of it. And then when I learned that, it was like this, I felt guilty and relieved and happy and like blown away, astonished at the same time that I was living my name, that I no longer needed to be ashamed. I felt guilty for having been ashamed, and so proud to fulfill this responsibility of having that name, I was living my name without ever knowing it. And they say that you become your name, whatever your names are.
Hearing that story, I don't know if you can see the design yet, but
No, I can't. I don't
Okay.
want to see it yet.
Yeah, it's developing, but as I hear those stories, those are the most powerful things we have. When your dad shares with you those bits of information, it can motivate and inspire, and it sounds like that's what you're trying to do with your music, your movies, everything you create. Is there any other form of creativity that you haven't tapped into and that you want to?
Yeah.
What is that?
I want to learn to paint.
Okay.
I just want to do everything. I love working with my hands, creating things. I like to weave. Yeah, but painting something I kind of am interested in. I like the idea of creating something, and after the act of creating, you have this piece of art that lasts forever. Yeah.
If you were to paint something, what would you want to paint?
My feelings, of course.
Yeah, your feelings in color, landscape, what do you
Who knows?
envision?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why I'm a sucker for a tropical theme.
Right. Yeah,
A tropical night sky, like if I could paint the moon. I was always my favorite type of art, I feel like, or period of art is like the French impressionistic art. So like the night skies or like ocean of violets in bloom, or like, you know, like that kind of stuff.
It sounds like I'm listening to one of your songs when you're saying this. And I can see, you know, the crossover, I guess, in the creative realms. I see that as well. And, you know, music is one of those things I haven't really, even though I'm carving and etching on ukulele and guitars, something I haven't tapped into. But when you're just describing that, it's like, man, I can see through a song, you know, what that might look like. Here's another question that might help me get some more information. I'm going to bring it back to your grandparents. When you think about them, what word would represent, just one, your grandparents?
Love.
Love.
I have an
Representing
image.
love. Okay, what is it?
It would be like this beautiful heart
Yeah.
with like big, bright rays like of the sun just bursting out from behind it.
Beautiful.
It'd be so powerful.
And when you say sun rays, what do you mean by that? How does that make you feel?
You know, it's like that one Martin Luther King quote. It says, love is like the only thing that can drive out hate, you know, or like it's so bright and big that it's like takes away all your focus. It's like all you can see is love. Like all you can feel is love.
Thanks for sharing that.
Sorry. You could cry too, man.
Yeah, I'm.
Sorry.
It's always fun
You're an
doing
artist.
it's fun doing this because little moments like this really help create something different and new and fresh. And when we really kind of dive deep into who has helped shape us, you know, I think about my family too when you're sharing yours, and it's that word love that really helps break down walls.
Actually, I changed that word.
Yeah, please.
Because I know that the action of loving, everything that everything that means to love is what in one word. That word is malama. And also that word means light as well. Malamalama. It means a bright, shining light, you know? It's no wonder that's the word that truly encompasses everything that it means to love or be loved.
All right,
Thanks for asking me these questions. Like, I never even think about this stuff.
Yeah, it's always
It's like, wow, good questions.
Let's bring this back. Yeah, I want to get a little bit more information about who Paula Fuga is and what you think you represent in a word.
Hilarious. I just love to laugh. I love funny things. I like saying the most wrong thing. I like looking for the funniest thing to say if you're going to ask me a question. And I love speaking in an accent.
Okay, you open the Pandora's box here. Is it a British accent?
It's a British accent, actually.
I was going to say,
How did you know? How could you have known?
It's just that type. Do you want some tea?
Actually, this is chilled water.
Chilled water. Is there a reason why you like the British?
I watched Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Every single episode, and I read all the books and everything. I was into it. I went deep into Game of Thrones. If something's hilarious, what feeling does it give you? You know, it gives you just like all this charge of positivity, this bright light, like a rainbow, you know, like colorful, like happy, jovial. That's what I think when I think of hilarity, or like if something's hilarious, if I'm cracking up at something or making people laugh or making myself laugh. When I go and I visit schools, my main message is everybody has a gift.
Yeah.
And your purpose on this earth is to figure out what your gift or your gifts are and to use those gifts to better yourself, your family, and your community.
Yourself, your family, and then community.
Uh-huh.
Is there a reason why it's in that order?
Yeah, because first you got to discover who you are. You have to figure that out. You have to figure out what your gifts are, you know, and then pursue them, build them, work on that. Like if your gift is music, it's not enough to just love music.
Right.
You got to go out, you got to learn how to play music, you got to take lessons, classes, like get into it, you know. You have to actively be doing something to make your gift grow. You know, if your gift is surfing, you can't just watch surfing videos. You got to get out on that board, catch some waves, you know? Like whatever your gift is, you have to be actively living up to your potential. You have to pursue your dreams and your goals. It's not just going to get served to you on a platter, you know? You know, like when you pray, when you ask God for something, you can't just expect him to deliver it to your doorstep.
Yeah.
You have to like do the work to make sure that you're meeting him halfway, you know? You can't just like expect. If you're praying, asking God for a job to like help you support your family, you got to go out there and look for a job, you know? And then he'll give it to you. You can't just be like waiting. You know?
Right, yeah.
Here I am.
It's like, yeah, okay.
Waiting for that job.
Shopping
One
list.
job, please. He's not a waiter, you know?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I've always believed God can't really use you unless you're moving. And so if we're not moving and working, it's hard for him to use us.
Yeah.
So
100%.
So the next thing you said is family. What do you mean by family?
It's like a ripple effect. Here you are. What's the next thing to get affected by that?
Yeah.
It's your family. You know, your surrounding, your immediate family, whether it's your birth family or your chosen family, your family. I believe that friends are the family you create for yourself. I would always think about kids, you know, oh, I want to help all these kids, but then
Right.
I had to go to this songwriting conference. At the same time I had a niece and a nephew wanting to pursue music. And this feeling came to me. I had a feeling like, wow, here I am going out helping these kids with songwriting, but I have a niece and a nephew that want to be songwriters and I'm not even helping them.
Right.
Like, how's me? I got to help my family first before I can go out and help all these other kids, you know?
Right.
It's important. You know, they say charity begins at home. Like, you gotta like look around at your own family and see where you can help them first before you get the notion to go out and help others. Because like, it's like cleaning somebody else's house when your own house needs cleaning. How are you gonna go clean somebody else's house when you get one pile of dishes in your sink?
Right.
That's just kind of like human nature. I feel like human beings do that all the time.
Yeah, no, I can
We like
see
want
I
to
do it.
focus on our friends' problems before we focus on our own, you know? Give your friend all the advice that you're not even taking yourself. It's just easier.
Exactly, yeah. It's easier.
It's easier to tell
Give
other people
advice.
what to do instead of doing what you think.
Because your family might be honest with you. They're like, stuff that.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me what to do. And then you're like, I'm going to talk to someone who listens. The last thing that you mentioned.
Yeah, your community. Figure out how you can help your community with your gifts and your talents and skills. You know, I know that my gifts are bigger than for just my immediate family.
Yeah.
I'm meant to affect millions and millions of people, you know? Give back to the community. Write songs about important things that matter. You know, like go share music at different things when I get the call, you know? When people say, hey, we're having this thing, we could use your support, would you come, you know?
Yeah. Gifts, family, and community. That's sweet.
Find out what your gifts are to better yourself, your family and your community. Is that a helicopter flying up?
Helicopter, okay. Yes. Thanks for sharing with me your story. And this has come from what you shared with me. And so I'll flip it around. Here we go.
Wow.
This design is...
Oh my gosh, so cool. Look at this. You put my tattoo
Yeah, oh
symbol
wow, I
on there.
didn't see that.
You didn't even know.
What the... So, yeah, that's interesting. The reason why I put this, when you started talking about your grandparents, you know, immediately, and you felt safe in the home, this was this idea of a fale or a hale, a roof,
Yeah.
sheltering. Each of these triangles for me represents, you know, your two grandparents and you. I was gonna put a bird here, and you can see it in the notes, but we'll see how that feels later on. This section represents that experience in that moment your dad shared with you, more about your grandmother and who she represented, and that desire to kind of tap more into this cultural, you know, your ancestors, those who passed on before you, and the cultural elements in your life. Each of these fish represents that story, the luckiest day.
Wow.
And so, but
That's
with
my favorite number 3.
3, so with these fish though, because you mentioned those 3 things, you said your gifts, your family, and your community. And so I was like, these fish also represent those 3 things that you want to share with kids growing up. When you talked about your grandparents and what symbol they represented, you said love, and then you talked about the sun rays. And so I was in between this design and this design, so I put both.
I love them both.
And this, so the way it's designed and the way it points is that idea of the sun rising. And I think as you keep sharing your message, you're going to continue to inspire. I think, you know, for now, this is the design that I feel impressed with the design. And so
I love it.
You can see these scrappy notes around, but for now, this is kind of where we're heading. Thanks so much for sharing again. It's an honor to create something based on your story and who you are. I learned a lot about, you know, who you are and what is important. And for me personally, that I need to continue to work on my gifts, look after my family, and help the community. I want to give you a hug. Mwah.
Thank you so much.
And that's where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shoot.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love this.
Now that I have the design, I'm going to make the piece, and then it's time for the final reveal. All right, I'm excited to share with you what I've been working on for the past few months.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, since our interview, a few months have passed, but we're finally here. All right, here is the piece.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Look at this. Is this the Paua shell?
Yeah, that's the power.
God, I love it so much. It's so beautiful. Thank you.
Let me show you the meaning card that I put together
Wow.
to kind of help you understand a little more. And it's titled My Gift.
Wow. Thank you so much. My gift number 429. Is that how many?
That's how many I've done since I was 15.
Really?
This is number 429 individual stories.
This
It's
is
kinda crazy.
incredible.
So maybe I can kind of
Yeah,
talk you through the
please.
meaning really quick. We'll start with the base. So you can see at the base of the ukulele, you can see there's two triangles at the base, and these represent your grandparents. When we were talking, they were a really focal point in your life to help you kind of become who you are today. In feeling that love and protection in the home to metaphorically spread your wings and continue your journey. So the Eva bird next, right here, can represent you, but it also can represent your message. And so birds were an essential element for our ancestors to navigate the ocean to find land and to find where we needed to be. So just like that, your message too, your songs, your movies, it's all out there traveling to the right people.
Wow.
And so these three, 1, 2, 3, these two stars are inspired by the malu, so Samoan tattoo that women would get. And this star here is the hokulea, so that's the guiding star.
Beautiful.
It also represents you, family, and community. So I remember we talked about, three things that you are focusing on in your life, and it was through your gifts you can help community, yourself, and your family. Another part, if we move up into the center.
My grandpa always said he'd come back as a fly.
Oh, he's with us. There's a few of them. In the center we talked a little bit about your cultural heritage and that part of you that is developing in all of us, myself as well, and how leading into that has been a discovery. You talked about your name, Samolia. So did I say it right?
Saumolia,
Yeah,
yep.
Samolia. And how that represented your grandmother's name being the luckiest day of the year. And so I think you mentioned the fish jumping into the boat.
Yeah, you don't even need to cast a net or a line.
And so this central part is that direction forward, moving forward in your discovery and who you are, and also to honor and to signify the progress and the gems of wisdom that you've collected along the way. And then lastly, I think this was the end of our time together was what was a word that described your grandparents, and it was love and malama. And so with these two sides, it represents the bright rays of the sun and your connection to the aina, but malama meaning the give and take with what you've received from your family, your grandparents. There's a lot more to it, but this is kind of the overall idea of the piece, and this is yours now.
Sam, thank you so much. This means a lot to me. It's so thoughtful and so meaningful. I love the fish. 3 is a big, significant number in my life, so I love that there's three of them. And wow, I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much. Mahalo nui.
Mahalo nui loa and kia ora for joining me in this creative process of storytelling and cultural design. I believe we all have a story and it deserves to be told. The question I have for you is, whose story should we do next? Put their name in the comments below.
If ever I could see you again,
Won't you take me back to where we used to play? Hang on every word, hang on every moment. I know you're in between now and I know you can't stay. Give me one more rising sun, just one more setting moment. It felt so bright, I had to turn away. Turn back around, and the moment had been stolen. Make magic out of nothing, you make my fears go away. But who'll make the words or find the answers for them? If ever I could see you again. If ever I could see you again. Handmade mornings, trails we walked on, pain that shapes us like rain on rocks now. Changing faces are woven in my future I see. Don't say it out loud, shade from too much. I miss you most times, or the ideas of you, they fall through my mind. Thoughts I can't lose, I sometimes try to hold what I can if I can't hold you. If ever I could see you again.